Okay, I'd like to call this meeting, the Village of Villa Park Public Hearing, January 24th, 2022. Clerk Krenecki, would you please call the roll?
Yes, Trustee Solella.
Here.
Trustee Corkery.
Here.
Trustee Kozar.
Here.
Trustee Kumar. Trustee Murphy. Here. Trustee Patrick.
Here.
President Kazone.
Here. Okay, our items are a presentation of the CSO Pollution Prevention Plan and the CSO Operations and Maintenance Plan. And for that, our Acting Village Manager, Mike Herrera, will do a PowerPoint presentation. Sure.
I just noticed the microphones.
Yeah.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll ask Mr. Salerno, Deputy Director Salerno, to help me with this. This presentation is a kind of a requirement as part of our MPDS permit. And this is for our wastewater discharge. And the MPDS is the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System. So recently, last year, we got our new 5-year permit. As part of the permit is we have to give we have to have some public input and provide it at public information meetings to allow public to have input and to be aware of our permit. So this permit will this presentation will combine both the CSO Pollution Prevention Plan and our CSO Operation and Maintenance Plan. And what our CSO Pollution Prevention Plan does is it outlines how we prepare or propose to kind of prevent pollution going into our stormwater and making its way to the bodies of water. Currently, what we utilize is street sweeping. We try to sweep the town at least 4 times a year, and that's on a rotation where we sweep through the entire town. Obviously, if we can do it more, we do it more, but that's to help to get a lot of the fines, the granular material out of the streets to prohibit them from going down into the storm drains during rain events. Also, on the 3rd weekend of the month, we have e-recycling or e-waste recycling events here at Village Hall, where people can recycle their electronics. We have moved in our Public Works Department to use environmentally friendly de-icing liquid. Oftentimes, you'll hear us call it beet juice or beet heat, and it's an organic fluid that we use with our chlorination, or not chlorination.
Pre-wetting and anti-icing. So
Yeah.
pre-wetting our rock salt before it goes actually down on the pavement, and then also before events, we anti-ice with it. That's the lines that you see on the pavement.
Okay, so yeah, we utilize it with our salting and pre-salting, and to help cut on our salt brine so that it's a little bit more organic and not utilizing actual chlorides to do that. We also have a listed discharge ordinance prohibiting, hazardous material down into our storm drains. Obviously, we don't want people pouring motor oil, those sort of things down our storm drains. We also have a used battery collection. This is, I believe, at Public Works and City Hall, where we will collect people's unused or batteries that are no longer have a useful life. And then once we get so many of them, we have a vendor come in and collect them for us to help prohibit those going into our solid waste and into landfills. And then also, per our code, we have a water conservation efforts where we require water smart products. Obviously, that kind of cuts down on the actual use of water. And I would say, looking at our bills from Dupage Water Commission, we've seen a steady decrease in the amount of billage and pumping that we've had from the Dupage Water Commission. So those efforts have been working. Overall, our capacity and management operation and maintenance plan, or what we've referred to as CMOM plan. And what this does is our maintenance and operation plan for our collection system, and then how we clean, inspect, and assess the assets that we have for the wastewater, our gravity line prevention maintenance, pump station maintenance, and then lastly, some of the proposed changes that we have to this plan based on a recent visit from the IEPA. So our collection system, this is our pipes in the ground that carry our sanitary separated and combined sewers. With this being our CSO plan, this is kind of focusing a little bit more on our combined sewers, but we kind of utilize our CMOM across most of all of our sanitary and combined sewers. The collection system in our village dates back to the early 1920s. And as displayed on the map, we have our village broken up into several different drainage basins. The numbers that correlate in the 50s are where we have our CSO, our combined sewers, where we've been currently working on separating those. The other numbers refer to separated sewers, so those are sanitary only or stormwater only sewers in those locations, and those are kind of designated based on the trunk lines that they come off of and our drainage basins in the community. So overall, how we maintain them, we utilize a cleaning inspection assessment program. What we end up doing is our crews clean and flush sewers weekly. They usually go out. That's usually performed a lot of times on Fridays. We call it Fridays flushings. We also pipe televise and manhole inspect. When we have problems, we also have several known locations where we kind of historically have problems, so we check on those routinely. And then as we televise our sewers, we assess the condition of them, and that's usually done with our own in-person or our own village staff as we televise with our camera system. We have multiple staff trained in that, so that we have a lot of cross-training, so it's just not relying on one guy. So if someone's out on vacation or sick, we have several staff members that can jump in our televising van and televise the sewers. And then we usually use about 3 different pieces of equipment for this. That includes our TV camera truck, our jetter, which is a hydraulic hose that we can flush down the sewers. And then on that, we have the root cutter that allows us to kind of cut the roots out of the things that attaches itself to the jetter. For our gravity lines, these are lines that we don't require any pump stations, any additional assistance. It just flows by gravity. And for that, we do, when we flush the sewers, we do put in some additives to help reduce the fats, oils, and greases, or otherwise what's known as fall control. And that's part of our Friday flushes where we kind of utilize that. We do routine root control performance as needed. And then the service laterals are televised as usually as part of every capital works improvement project. And we started implementing that a lot more in the last year or so, where we try to hit everyone that wishes to be televised if we can, and looking at ways to incorporate more in that into our capital improvement projects. For our pump stations, currently we have 7 pump stations that are dedicated to wastewater in the community. These pump stations are routinely checked on a daily basis, including the weekends, by our staff to make sure that they are performing, that there's no known issues, so that we can reduce the possibility of any backups. And then as we note problems on our daily inspections, any mechanical, electrical maintenance is performed as needed to make sure that they're running properly. Lastly, on a some basic changes that we need to be done based on a routine inspection by the EPA, is they've asked us to update some of our standards, and that includes manhole testing. We actually instituted this for the Charles Avenue project, where any new manholes are tested to make sure that they are tight, so they're not allowing infiltration into our systems. And that standard will be utilized moving forward for all of our capital improvement projects. Also, the village will be adding the Friday foaming for those fats, oils, and greases a little bit more. We're kind of using it as needed, but we're ramping up that usage. Then lastly, in our plan, we have funding resources identified to show how we're going to do that on maintenance, and they've asked us to kind of prioritize it a little bit better than our existing plan to show what that focus is. And so we'll be making those adjustments here in the next month or so to be submitted back to the EPA on an updated CMOM. And with that, that's kind of just a brief overview of what we kind of do, and we can take any questions or input that people have on it.
Great, thanks, Mike.
Any questions from the board? Trustee Solella?
Just a couple. Mike, I know we have a small industrial area, but do we have any kind of IPT program in place monitoring the waste outfall from our industrial area?
Actually, the Dupage County has a program that they actually monitor all the outfalls. So We don't internally, but we partner with Dupage County.
And how about any of our larger parking lots that house buses, semis coming into town that's going to be opening up here on Villa? Anything with the storm runoff for motor oils? Anything along those lines of monitoring?
I think currently that kind of falls under our list of discharge. So if we get complaints, we obviously investigate. And then as Rich says, the county does investigate the outfalls. And then they do note any discolorations, any of the sheen from oils that are coming out. And then I believe they pass it back to us, and then we go investigate and partner with them to investigate where that source is coming from to stop that discharge.
But nothing is expected of us through this permit to monitor those ourselves in-house?
Not with, so this one's specifically for the wastewater.
Right.
And for the stormwater, that kind of is the tie that we utilize with DuPage County. So usually on these, if we notice it in the wastewater, or say Salt Creek notifies us that, hey, we're seeing hydraulic oil come into our line, then we will go try to investigate where we can find that hydraulic oil entering into the sanitary system.
Okay. Thank you.
Trustee Patrick.
Thank you. Director Guerrero, just a few questions for you. Regarding our wet weather treatment facility, could you tell us what year this was built, and can you just for the public explain its general purpose?
I would have to actually probably, unless Rich knows, look up the actual year that it was built.
I'm not positive exactly what year. I believe it was in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But I don't have the exact year that it was actually constructed.
You said in your presentation that our pump stations have daily maintenance logs. Do we have daily maintenance logs for our wet weather treatment facility?
I believe so. So our wet weather treatment facility is only in operation during heavy rain events. To answer your first question, so it's utilized as kind of an overflow structure. So the Salt Creek Sanitary District handles all of our sanitary flow on any normal routine basis. Your average day, all that flow goes to the Salt Creek Sanitary District. When we get rains, we get some inundated with the combination sewers that we still have remaining in place, and some what's called SSO, so some ground wall infiltration into our sanitary. So that treatment facility is set up to take that expansion that Salt Creek can't take. Instead of discharging directly into Salt Creek, it backflows into our treatment facility, where it's kind of a two-stage system where we have what's called like a first flush, and that's to get initial surge out to get the debris out of it, and then they kind of go into holding tanks. And then once if the storm event's occurring for so long where those storage tanks get completely full, then it outfalls into our CSO, which then it gets disinfected and discharged. I believe we do keep maintenance logs and work orders on every maintenance performed in that building. After every rainfall, we do have to drain it back down. We do clean it. And then I believe all the repairs are logged and tracked through our
No,
work
that is
order
correct.
software.
Unlike our pump stations that are looked daily, the treatment plant's only obviously when it's operational, so it's not inspected daily.
What preventative maintenance have we done in the past on this facility?
More of it's been proactive or reactive, just with the age and how expensive some of the equipment is. Some of the preventive maintenance, we actually keep one of our spare pumps for each side, for the CSO and the SSO side. They're quite large pumps, so in case one does go down, we do have a spare pump. Obviously, that's like the critical part of the facility.
Have we identified any repairs or infrastructure work that needs to be completed on that facility?
We do have an internal log that staff has done. Obviously, there's some long-term planning that needs to occur as we separate our sewers. The need for that facility should be decreased. We would look at, once we have the probably complete separation of our sewers, of the actual need of that facility, work with the EPA and look at handing some of that off or converting it to a different use. So we do have some logs, but since it's not used on a daily basis, we do have some tracking that is an old facility of what's needed. And then I would say, I know our guys usually do an inspection after, usually when they clean it every time. They do usually report back to their supervisor or to Rich or Deputy Director Salerno some of the maintenance that needs to be occurred, or parts that broke, or things that need to be reviewed.
In your opinion, what is the current condition of that facility?
I would say it needs improvement, based on what its intended use is. For future use, we'd have to look at, how to best manage those needs and what's the most cost beneficial way for the use of that facility. But in its current state of what it's intended initially, with the combination sewers, it does need some repairs.
If you were to put a dollar amount on that, would you have an idea?
I would have to look into that a little bit further to get you a better answer.
So those repairs that need to have been made, why haven't we made those?
I would probably have to defer. I mean, some of that was from previous administrations, but I'm assuming it was probably budget related,
Okay.
sort of thing. As wastewater treatment facilities are not cheap. There's a lot of those infrastructure is very costly. When you're looking at bar screens and those run in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Pumps run somewhere up 25, 30,000, depending on the size of those pumps.
That's correct.
And then kind of how that facility was utilized when it was designed and how it's utilized now are not one and the same. And so I think some of them they kind of let go because it's not being utilized in that manner. So then it was more cost effective to make those repairs on some of those items.
So you talked about earlier about sewer separation and how that plays into fact there. So what is the plan moving forward for that facility once we get 100% separation for sewers?
The plan would be to probably, my plan is to revisit with IEPA to see if that plant needs to be in operation. In my opinion, if we separate all the sewers, we would have to look at, can we hand that facility off to Salt Creek Sanitary District if it makes sense for the use of their plant? Or does it make sense to change the use to a different meaning, a different use, maybe as like you're saying, a holdage tank to be kind of the buffer for Salt Creek Sanitary District. So if we get a surge during heavy rains or something still, even though it's not coming from your combined sewers, that there's a surge protection on that line to kind of buffer so we don't back up into homes.
So currently it still serves a purpose for essentially prevents flooding.
It prevents backups, correct.
Okay, thank you.
If that makes sense. Not like flooding on the road, but flooding backwards in the pipes into homes and some of those items.
Just more small. In defense of maintenance, I thought not too far back in the past, we did a rebuild on one of the vertical turbines, and that there was a line item in our budget for annual or semi-annual rebuilds of the vertical turbines. Or am I mistaken?
We do budget for maintenance items such as rewinding motors, and also replacement of motors. And obviously, since it's mechanical, you can never figure out. I mean, there's been times where a transformer on the motor control panel's gone out. I mean, and something sounds minor, but that was thousands of dollars to get replaced. So we do have some spare, if you want to say, some items that we can budget for, but obviously the larger ones, as Director Guerrero said, that those pump motors are usually in excess of $25,000. So
So we do have some.
we do have some redundancy and some
It's not
some
just hanging
safety
out there
measures in
waiting for a
place.
breakdown. Okay, thank you.
One last question, Director Guerrero, for you. You said that in the future, once we completely separate our sewers, there might not even be a need for that facility. So that way, we have to see whether or not Salt Creek Sanitary District would be able to take in that facility. If not, has anybody yet contacted Salt Creek Sanitary District about our future plans, about the possibility of them looking at this facility to see if they even want it?
I don't know about previous. We'd have to research. I know I have not in this time frame. Obviously, we still need it in operation. And so as we move forward, that'd be a look. Our NPDS permits for a 5-year period.
Right.
And so I would say in this next 5 years, we'll still be operating on that permit. I mean, we're hopeful to keep moving forward and have the progress that we've seen with the separation in the road projects. But as we get a little bit closer, there'll probably be more serious talks. We can always reach out and begin some of those, but obviously we have years of time before we get there.
what would you say your time frame is for 100% sewage separation?
I would probably say, I don't know if we can get to exactly 100%, just based on topography. I think we're probably estimated probably 95 to 98% separation. We do have a few locations just based on, we couldn't get pipe separation. I believe our capital plan still has it out for next about 5 to 6 years for separation, if I remember right. To get all the separations, obviously Washington, this year we're planning to do Monterey. Monterey is the first step in order to get Washington sewer separation started, because that's the tie-in. Those are rather large projects. I think, the Washington, just the sewer separation portion alone is about $3 million. So once we're getting down to about one more trunk separation, and then we have the branches of Yale. I can't think of all the roads down there off the top of my head. So I think in our plan, it's about 5 more years that before we should get to mostly all the sewer separated, and then we'll have to evaluate.
So with our NIPD's permit then being renewed every 5 years then, we just renewed this one. So at the expiration of this one, we should be able to start talking about whether or not our sewers are 100% in separated, and whether or not that treatment facility is even needed, where we might not even need to put this on the permit to begin with. Is that correct?
That might be the case. I should say, best case scenario, that would be the case. That means we're able to get all the funding that we need for the separations, get the work completed, all the time that we start beginning the process of renewal for this application for this permit.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Kumar.
You showed us a picture of the sewer separation, and you said the 50s were the ones that are not completely separated, those areas, correct?
The locations of the 50s are locations that were originally combination sewers.
So, what percentage of those have been separated, what hasn't, approximately in your mindset? Yeah,
I believe we're down to about 26% of our sewers remaining need to be separated.
26%, okay.
And I would have to pull up. That was part of our CIP. Kind of had some of those percentages, so I can pull up those exact numbers. But I want to say off the top of my head, it was around 26% still left to be separated.
So,
Okay.
kind of.
I just got one comment. I know Trustee Solella had mentioned about these large businesses that have, trucking. They would require their own NIPD's permit, correct? For stormwater?
So the confusing thing is the NPDS has several versions of permits. So this one is for our wastewater. There's also one that falls under what's called an MS4 permit, and that's your stormwater, your municipal stormwater permit. And that's where a lot of the parking lots and the illicit discharges going into storm drains come into effect. So you're correct. A lot of the industrial locations, if they're of certain size or certain type of industrial uses, are required to have their own MS4 permit through the state of Illinois. And that's the MS4 permit is who we partner with the actual DuPage County to administer.
Good, thank you.
Trustee Kumar.
A real quick statement more than anything about pollution prevention. We talked about that at the very beginning, and it's at everybody's heart. One thing is used oil, cooking oils. There is a receptacle out at Salt Creek that you could pour that oil into, and I think it's good to mention that as a possibility for people, and maybe consider something like that coming here at some time period.
Yeah, we can definitely promote that use, and because I know Rich and our Deputy Director Salerno and our operation guys definitely would prefer the oil to go in those receptacles versus down the drain.
Typically, that's promoted a little bit too around the holidays, especially around Thanksgiving, that a lot of people have
Yeah,
fires
it is. I
and
mean,
turkey fires.
it's something that a lot of people don't even know, and they can reuse the oil for so many great uses.
Okay, anyone else? Anyone from the public have any comments? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion for adjournment of the public hearing. Trustee Corcoran, do we have a second? Trustee Kumar? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, we are adjourned of our public hearing. Thank you. our board meeting. I'd like to bring this meeting to order, the Village of Villa Park Village Board of Trustees meeting, January 24th, 2022. Clerk Kornecki, roll call, please.
It's Trustee Salella.
Here.
Trustee Corkery.
Here.
Trustee Kozar.
Here.
Trustee Kumar.
Here.
Trustee Murphy.
Here.
Trustee Patrick.
Here.
President Kazone.
Here, and please stand for a pledge of allegiance and remain standing after, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together this evening. May we have meaningful discussions that will help us to assist our village in these trying times. Help us to make those decisions that will affect the staff, directors, and residents of Villa Park. Guide us through the challenges we face, and may we approach each other with respect and kindness as one group. In your name, amen. Okay, we'll go to public comments on agenda items. Clerk Kornecki, anyone signed up?
I had no one so
Okay, do
far.
we have anyone in the audience for public comments? Okay, go to amendments to the agenda. Do we have any amendments? Trustee Murphy.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we table agenda item 6A, life-saving awards based on COVID impacts and attendance.
Okay, we have a second?
Second.
Trustee Solella. And apparently, staff, I believe, requested us to not have this tonight due to the increased COVID rates.
Correct. There are some that could not attend, and we want to make sure that everyone gets their just
Yeah.
recognition. Sorry, that word escaped my mind for a second.
Okay. Do you have any discussion on this? Okay, Clerk Kornecki, roll call, please.
Okay, Trustee Corkery.
Yes.
Trustee Patrick.
Yes.
Trustee Kumar.
Yes.
Trustee Kozar.
Yes.
Trustee Salella.
Yes.
Trustee Murphy.
Yes,
President Kazone.
Yes. Okay, so we'll table that until hopefully in the near future as COVID numbers continue to come down. Item 5, the consent agenda. Item 5A, minutes from the January 10th, 2022 meeting. And item 5B, bill listings for the weeks of January 10th and January 17th, 2022, in the total amount of $1,309,592.22. We have a motion for this.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Murphy, we have a second? Trustee Kumar, any questions, comments? Okay, seeing none. Clerk Kornecki.
Trustee Patrick.
Yes.
Trustee Kozar.
Yes.
Trustee Salella.
Yes.
Trustee Corkery.
Yes.
Trustee Kumar.
Yes.
Trustee Murphy.
Yes,
President Kazone.
Yes. Item 7, appointments of commissions. Item 7A is traffic and safety, Vicky Flaskamp, for the term January 24th, 2022 through April 30th, 2025. And the Cable Commission, Stephen King, for the term January 24th, 2022 to April 30th, 2025. We have a motion for this. Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, Trustee Kumar?
I will second that motion.
Okay, any questions or comments? Trustee Murphy?
yes, I'd like to confirm that the applications were reviewed for qualification.
I'm sorry?
I would like to confirm that the applications were reviewed for meeting qualification.
Yes, they were.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, Clerk Kornecki, please.
Yes, Trustee Salella.
Yes.
Trustee Murphy.
Yes,
Trustee Corkery.
Yes.
Trustee Kozar.
Yes.
Trustee Patrick.
Yes.
Trustee Kumar.
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Okay, so we have 2 new people, and I believe our commissions outside of Senior Commission, and I think Cable Commission could still use 1 person. So if anyone is interested on serving on those commissions, you can go online and submit an application for that. But thank you for the 2 people who have stepped up here. Thank you. Okay, item A, this is a first reading of an ordinance to be codified. 8A is an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, Dupage County, Illinois, prohibiting the use of groundwater as a potable water supply by the installation or use of potable water supply wells or by any other method. Manager Guerra.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. The village received a request from Tri-Core Environmental LLC out of Naperville to consider approving a groundwater ordinance back in March of 2021. Tri-Core has been working to fulfill their obligations of Illinois Environmental Protection Agency's Leaking Underground Storage Tank, or UST, program to obtain a no further remediation, or NFR letter, for the leaking underground storage tank incident numbers 922987 and 942519 related to the property located on the east side of Route 83. Originally, our village board had approved an ordinance for that in April 12th, 2021. However, when we submitted that paperwork to the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency, they requested some modifications to the ordinance be made to identify the properties listed in Appendix A and B. So this ordinance is a revision that prohibits the use of groundwater as a supply of potable water through the installation and/or use of private potable water supply wells located at these locations designated. We would recommend approval of this ordinance.
Okay, thank you. Seeing as this is a first reading, this will be discussion only unless someone would like to make a motion to table it or to exclude it. Yes, Trustee Murphy.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion based on the fact that this was originally approved and this is a minor amendment, that we pass this on a first reading and forego a second reading.
Okay, do we have a second for that?
I'll second it.
Okay, Trustee Solella. Any questions or comments? Trustee Patrick.
Could you please let me know when the last time a leak was identified at any of these locations?
Well, the last incidents were 1992 and 1994. That's what those numbers are. So 92 is 1992, 94 would be 1994. And currently, obviously, they go, if an incident happened today, it would be 2021 and then a number. So these are, 30 years old, the first incident. The second one's 28 years old.
And there is no remediation that needs to be done?
Apparently not. If it's come to this point where the EPA is approving a groundwater ordinance,
Okay.
that's probably that's the last step to get the NFR letter. Now, we'd have to look into it and see exactly what they're doing, if they're using engineered barriers or, building control technologies in order to get the NFR letter.
The way that I'm reading this, though, the Illinois EPA has not approved this yet, and it's being requested through Tri-Core, is that correct?
Tri-Core is the consultant that's working on it,
Okay,
the environmental consultant.
Working to get it approved?
That's correct.
Okay, so it hasn't been approved yet by the EPA?
Correct, yeah. The village approved it, and then it went to the IEPA for their approval, and they kicked it back and requested these additional modifications to it.
Okay, thank you.
So now, at this point, if we do approve it, then it would go back to the EPA for their approval.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, this was a vote on motion to,
Another question?
oh, I'm sorry. Trustee Kumar.
I have a question. The use of potable water is against Dupage County code, is that not true?
It is, however, the EPA requires a village ordinance specific. You can either have a village ordinance that prohibits the use of wells through the whole village, or you can do it for site specifics, which is this one is. It's only a limited area that the ordinance is. They will not, the Illinois EPA will not accept a countywide ordinance like that. It's got to be village, per village. Trustee Corporate.
This property is in Elmhurst, right?
No, I believe it's in Villa Park.
It said Elmhurst on the property map there. You can see it there.
The area over there is the boundaries kind of switch around, and I believe it is in Villa Park.
It's on the east side of 83 is what it says.
Yes, there's portions on the east side of 83 that are actually in corporate limits of Villa Park. So that line kind of meanders back and forth on that frontage road on the east side of Illinois 83.
That was my only question.
Okay. Okay, so we are voting on tabling the first reading and accepting this, tabling the second reading and
Are we
accepting,
waiving the second?
waiving the second reading. Okay, Clerk Benecke.
Okay, trustee Kozar,
Yes.
trustee Corkery,
Yes.
trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Stilella,
Yes.
trustee Murphy,
Yes.
trustee Kumar,
Yes.
President Kazal.
Yes. Okay, so now we need a motion to accept the ordinance as read. We have a motion for that.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Murphy. Okay, we have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Solella? Any questions or comments? Clerk Benecke.
Okay, trustee Corkery,
Yes.
trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Murphy,
Yes.
trustee Kozar,
Yes.
trustee Kumar,
Yes.
trustee Stilella.
Yes.
President Kazal.
Yes, okay, so that ordinance passes, and that will be sent on to the Illinois EPA for their approval. Okay, well, item 9, ordinances. Item 9A, an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, Dupage County, Illinois, authorizing the publication of the revised 2022 zoning map. Andrew Guerra.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Each year, villages are required to publish the zoning map, or adopted zoning map by March 31st. In 2021, there was only one zoning map amendment. The property known as 1033 North Villa Avenue, PIN number 0334120003, was rezoned from PUD-C to Plan Unit Development Commercial to M1 Light Industrial District. Since it was approved last year, there are no other changes to the zoning district designations that were made to the map.
Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the ordinance? Trustee Patrick,
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
we have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Corkery. Any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Benecke.
Trustee Stilella,
Yes.
trustee Kumar,
Yes.
trustee Murphy,
Yes.
trustee Kozar,
Yes.
trustee Corkery,
Yes.
trustee Patrick.
Yes.
President Kazal.
Yes. Okay, so that passes. Item 9B, an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a First Amendment to the development agreement between the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, and Hawthorne Development Corporation. Andrew Guerra.
Thank you, Your Honor. As you may remember, this was the ordinance that to change the development agreement between Hawthorne Properties and the village that we discussed several weeks ago. Hawthorne Development has come to the village to request the deferral of a portion of the building fees and extension of 2 deadlines regarding the permits and the construction of the parking lot. This request was due to the increased labor, material costs, and issues with some of the existing tenants of the buildings that they had purchased. Their specific request will help them advance the project to begin construction. Specifically, the developer requested that the estimated $850,000 in permit fees be paid in installments with an initial payment of $350,000 at the time of the issuance of permits, and then 5 annual installments of $100,000 each on the anniversary date of the initial payment. In addition, the developer has also requested the deadline for all required permits to be extended to March 1st, 2020, and to extend the deadline of completion of construction of the Metro parking lot on the east side of Beverly to June 30th, 2022. With these extensions, with the extension of the deadlines for the permits, the developer has also agreed to demo all the existing buildings that are vacant by March 31st, 2022, so that the village does not incur any unwanted use of those buildings and to kind of eliminate some of the blight. Therefore, the staff has recommended approval of this amendment as to allow the advancement of this project.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion on this? Trustee Patrick.
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second? Trustee Solella. Any questions? Trustee Patrick.
Just a quick general question. There's a lot of people asking when this project might be completed. What's a time frame?
That's a good question. I'll probably turn the floor over to either Director, I'm sorry,
Could you please come up and state your name, please?
we can have Nick Pancata from Hawthorne Developments maybe answer that question for us.
We're looking at approximately 14 months from the time we start construction to the time we start moving our first, tenants in.
Okay, is it 14 months from demolition, when demolition starts, or when the actual construction starts?
When construction starts.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Trustee Kumar?
Can you stay up here? 'Cause I-
Sir, would you mind coming back? Thank you.
So demolition, is starting, will be finished by March 31st. When do you expect construction to start?
We got one tenant that will not move out. The tenant in the liquor store is giving us a hard time. We've offered him money, we offered him, space in a new building. And every time we come to a verbal agreement with him, he keeps raising his price. And we are in court with him on Friday for a pretrial settlement with, on Friday.
So you won't know until that?
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
And
Trustee
just,
Cor- whoop, excuse me, go ahead.
if you don't mind, Your Honor, just for clarification for Trustee Kumar, the request that we're making is for all the vacant buildings, which would be all the buildings other than 401 through 405, I believe.
Correct.
Villa, which is the liquor store in the taco or the Mexican restaurant.
Correct.
It would be all the vacants on Beverly and the surrounding areas that we're asking to be demoed for safety reasons.
The demo is fine. I'm asking about construction, right?
Oh.
Yeah, so construction, is not gonna start right away until all the buildings are demoed. I
Correct.
assume. Yeah,
Well, we
so,
have to get that liquor store tenant out of there so we could start construction.
okay.
Trustee Corrigan?
What was the original permit deadline? I can't recall.
The original permit deadline was December 31st of 2021.
Mm-hmm. Was there a penalty associated with that at all?
Believe the penalty would be then the developer's agreement would then no longer be in place. It would be null and void.
Trustee Patrick?
Thank you. Thank you for answering our questions. Just regarding all of the tenants and the locations, are they currently on a lease, and when does that expire?
His lease, he's got 7 more, all the other tenants are out except him. We paid people to leave, negotiated deals with them, they gave them money, they left. He is the only one who is holding out. He's got 7 more years left on his lease. And he just wants, we started off with, we were getting $300,000 to leave. Now he's up to $1.2 million.
And
So
you-
he's just all, every time he calls him, it's a different number.
When did you say trial begins?
We have a pre-trial hearing on Friday
Okay, thank you.
in Dupage County at
Okay.
1 o'clock.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Reneke?
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Stilella?
Yes.
President Kazal?
Yes. Okay, so that passes. Hopefully we'll get that project moving on. Okay, item 10A, resolution. A resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, confirming the appointment of Chuck Howard as interim village treasurer, IMRF authorized agent, and IRMA alternate delegate. Manager Guerrero.
Thank you, Your Honor. Due to the retirement of our current finance director, Ms. Scheibel, it is necessary to appoint an interim finance director to fulfill the duties of the position and to provide guidance to the staff while the village seeks to fill the position on a permanent basis. Several important finance responsibilities must be performed formally, and to do that, we must formally assign the interim director to ensure the village operations continue without interruption. Such responsibilities include appointment as interim village treasurer, authorized agent for the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund, and alternate delegate to the board of directors of the Intergovernmental Risk Management Agency, IRMA. If it pleases Your Honor, we do have Mr. Chuck Howard here with us this evening.
Okay.
As he comes to us from GovHR, and he's been working this past week to 2 weeks, to kind of get caught up to speed, pending Marlene's retirement. And if you will, Your Honor, I'd like to thank Marlene for all of her time and dedication that she's provided to the village over this course of time.
Okay, thank you. Okay. We have a motion. Trustee Patrick.
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, we have a second. Trustee Kumar.
I'd like to second that motion.
Okay. I don't know. I'd like to have Mr. Howard just come on up and give a little background on yourself before we vote on you.
Thank you. My background is long and involved. I've been interim finance director over probably all the color counties from Gilbert's to Winfield. Currently finishing up a project, not as finance director, but in the finance department at Hinsdale, and these types of assignments are not new to me. The finance director's job must go on, regardless of the circumstances, and certainly as budget and audit and the big projects of finance are ongoing, and so must the finance director. So I feel confident that I can perform a role that I've done for a number of communities in an effective and complete manner.
Thank you. Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Kornecki.
Trustee Sewella?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
President Kazal?
Yes. So welcome to Villa Park, and hopefully things go well. And like Manager Guerrero said, thank you to Marlene for all your years of service, and good luck on the beach in retirement. Item 10B, resolution of the Village of Villa Park, Dupage County, Illinois, approving a final change order number 1 to the contract with A-Lamp Concrete Contractors, Inc. of Schaumburg, Illinois, for construction of the Astor, Myrtle, and Euclid Improvement Project for a net addition in the amount of $19,738.46. Manager Guerrero.
Thank you, Your Honor. The village has a contract with A-Lamp Concrete Contractors, Inc. of Schaumburg, Illinois, in the amount of $2,434,983.80 for the construction of Astor, Myrtle, and Euclid Improvement Project. This is the proposed final change order number 1, and it consists of the final balancing of the contract quantities as measured in the field. The net amount of the proposed final change order number 1 is an addition in the amount of $19,738.46 for adjusted final contract amount of $2,454,722.26. Staff recommends the approval of this change order.
Good, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for this?
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Corkery, do we have a second? Trustee Patrick.
Mr. President, I'll make that second.
Okay, any questions or discussion? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Kornecki.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Sewella?
Yes.
President Kazal?
Yes. Item 10C is resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, providing for the selection of qualified consulting firms to provide preliminary and design engineering services for capital improvement projects. Manager Guerrero.
Thank you, Your Honor. Last year, Public Works staff advertised the request for qualifications for the selection of qualified consulting firms to provide preliminary and design engineering services for upcoming capital improvement projects. The village received received 18 submissions, and after reviewing and evaluating the submissions, staff recommends the selection of 8 firms for these professional engineering services. And what these firms will do will be, now they're selected, we will utilize each firm as needed based on the different qualifications for the upcoming capital projects to be assigned, and future engineering agreements will be brought before the board.
Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for this resolution?
I'll make
Trustee
that
Murphy.
motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Corkery, any questions or comments? Trustee Patrick.
Thank you. Director Guerrero, just for the public's sake, could you tell us what some of these major capital improvement projects are going to be in the future?
Yes.
Thank you.
So a lot of these capital improvement projects are the ones identified in our CIP. So these would be our future separation projects that we have for stormwater, water main projects, road repair projects. I believe for this upcoming year, we are planning, we authorized the loan ordinance for Monterey, would be the one that we have planned for this year, along with possibility of Harvard from Plymouth up to Ridge. We do have some streets selected for mill and overlay to utilize a lot of our Rebuild Illinois funds. As part of the capital bill from the state of Illinois, we received about $1.4 million. But there's dedicated uses for those that fall into MFT, so we're looking at hiring one of these consulting firms to help develop plans to do some resurfacing throughout the community. We're looking at Wisconsin Avenue from Vermont to Ridge on resurfacing. And then lastly, we are for this upcoming year, it looks like we are in recommendation to receive CBDG funding for our Michigan and Iowa intersection and water main replacement, and then our Vermont and Vermont and Michigan for this year, and then Vermont and Iowa for the following year. So what this selection will do is allow us to utilize these firms. They've now been selected by, it will be hopefully approved by the board, and it automatically selects them so that we can just go in and negotiate engineering agreements for these projects. Then with our future upcoming separation projects, road projects, and water main projects, we now have firms selected for the next 3 years.
Trustee Salell.
I'm looking at the 8 selected, and I'm familiar with several of them. Have we worked with all of these at some type of project in the past, or some new to us?
I would say the one new to us is Primera Engineers. I don't know if we've worked with them in the past. All the others, we do have some experience through one project to the other. Primera, after staff reviewed their submittal for qualifications, felt that they were well qualified and worth giving a shot at some of the projects.
Thank you.
Trustee Kumar.
You've basically shortlisted about 8 firms. In the past, I think it was 6 or 5 that were listed. So you've extended the group a little bit. Is that correct?
So the other list that was approved by the board were for our phase 3 engineering, which is actually the field construction review of the projects to make sure that it would be in compliance with our plans and specification. This is actually our design side, so it's a little bit in different engineering. And the reason we're using 8 is some of the firms are have a little bit more expertise in certain fields and not the other. So some firms might be.
I like the larger group versus the smaller one. I'm very happy that you are extending that group. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, Clerk Krenicki.
Trustee Salella?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
President Cassell?
Yes. Item 10D, it's a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing the purchase of a 2022 Pierce Impel engine for the fire department through the Houston Galveston Area Council Cooperative Purchasing Program at a cost not to exceed $698,000. Manager Guerrero.
Thank you, Your Honor. Within its fleet, the fire department currently operates 3 engines, or otherwise known as pumpers. We have 2 frontline fire engines and a reserve fire engine. Currently, our reserve fire engine 80 is a 24-year-old emergency 1 fire engine with 76,000 miles and 7,600 hours of engine use time on it. 80 has reached its in-service life, and in addition has extensive damage to its frame and rails. Each year, the village has been saving for this purchase in the fire apparatus reserve within the equipment replacement fund. The engine has to be ordered by February 1st of 2022 to avoid $48,000 increase in the pricing. For this purchase, funds will be available and paid out of the CY23 equipment replacement fund, which is account 65-502-02401. However, we've been notified that the estimated delivery is 14 to 16 months out, and that's kind of why we're here. This was a planned purchase for next fiscal year. However, with the rate of increase of $48,000 and knowing that it's a 14 to 16 month lead time to get the engine, we would like to place that order now to get ourselves in line.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for this? Trustee Patrick.
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second? Trustee Salella? Thank you. Any questions? Trustee Kumar.
This engine that they're replacing hopefully will, I don't, if the fire chief could speak to this, will be a piece of equipment that will, in the long term, be usable as we grow our city with these new developments, I assume.
Yes, so what our normal rotation occurs is we'll take our oldest frontline truck and then move that to reserve. This truck will go right into the front line, which will be used on a daily basis. However, right now our reserve truck is in need of repair, and the repairs cost so much that it makes worthwhile. So we would probably surplus that truck and look at ways that may be beneficial. But this truck will go front in line, and then the other one, the oldest truck will then be bounced back to reserve.
Trustee Slow.
Director Guerrero, did you say that engine 80 is auctionable still in its condition, or is it salvage?
I might have to defer to Chief Rukosnik on that. He's a little bit more of the expert on that.
Fire somewhere. The problem we have with the auction would be it's got a damaged frame rail, so it's not usable. What we were going to try, what we've done in the past, we've donated our previous engine to University of Illinois, and we got some fire academy time for all my guys. So we'll try to do that again to the Romeoville Fire Academy to get some classroom time. But we can't, if it's not usable for us, we're not going to send it somewhere else.
Well, that was my question.
Yeah,
but-
the frame rails are cracked, and we're being told by our garage and the manufacturer it shouldn't be used.
Thank you.
Trustee Patrick.
Thank you. First of all, I'd just like to say kudos to the Villa Park Fire Department on staying on top of this. I know 24 years for an engine, that's a big repair too, but you guys have been doing more or less. So I want to thank you for being on top of this. I think this is good that we make sure that you guys have the right equipment when you need it.
Appreciate that.
I just got a quick question. Our oldest engine, how old is that right now?
24, that's our reserve.
I'm sorry, the oldest one that's in service.
It was 2015,
Okay, so it's still,
so 7 or 8 years.
yeah, fairly, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. Clerk Reneke.
Okay, Trustee Corkery,
Yes.
Trustee Kozar,
Yes.
Trustee Kumar,
Yes.
Trustee Murphy,
Yes.
Trustee Patrick,
Yes.
Trustee Sillella,
Yes.
President Casone.
Yes. Okay, move on to item 10E. It's a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving an intergovernmental agreement, or an IGA, between the County of DuPage, the Elmhurst Park District, and the Village of Villa Park, and accepting a grant from DuPage County's Stormwater Management, not to exceed $60,000, for the Sugar Creek Golf Course Pond Restoration Project. Manager Guerrero.
Thank you. This is the pond located at Sugar Creek Golf Course, and it's in need of restoration. The current corrugated steel shore wall is failing. The depth of the water has been declining due to settlement deposit accumulation, and the value of the stream overall as a resource is compromised. Due to this, in the spring of 2014, the golf course staff, including administrative personnel, contacted and met with Living Waters consultants to review the issues and how best to address these problems. Living Waters has then since been contracted for engineering services, and they began seeking grants as ways to help reduce the project costs to the village, Elmhurst Park District, and the golf course. With grant funding available to the Sugar Creek Restoration Project, with the grant funding available, the Sugar Creek Restoration Project can proceed with approval of both agencies' boards. Currently, the total cost of the restoration project is estimated at $1,225,031.38. To date, so far, the project has been offered and received grant funding from the DuPage County Water Quality Improvement in the amount not to exceed $60,000, and we've been notified that Illinois Environmental Protection Agency has awarded us the grant of $612,515.69 to provide for a greater than a 50% of the project cost estimate. The local contribution from the village, the Village of Villa Park, the Elmhurst Park District, and the Sugar Creek Golf Course would be approximately $184,171.96 for each agency. The funds of this project's anticipated to start construction this fall, around November. So therefore, any of the village's funds would be budgeted into 2023 if it's needed. What we have here is to receive the grant, to approve the grant from the DuPage County, in the amount not to exceed $60,000.
Good, thank you. Okay, Trustee Patrick.
Mr. President, I'd like to make this motion.
Okay, we have a second?
A second.
Trustee Sillella. Okay, any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Reneke.
Okay, Trustee Kumar,
Yes.
Trustee Murphy,
Yes.
Trustee Kozar,
Yes.
Trustee Patrick,
Yes.
Trustee Corkery,
Yes.
Trustee Sillella,
Yes.
President Casone.
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to item 11, public comments on non-agenda items. Do we have anyone signed up?
I have Justin Schlinsky, talk about the fundraiser.
Evening, everyone. Justin Schlensky, 436 North Fulton. First of all, as somebody who just drove back from the Eisenhower and through our streets, I just want to say thank you to staff for doing a really good job on the streets thus far. It was much cleaner than getting through the city of Chicago and other parts on the Eisenhower. Reason I'm here today is on behalf of my motorcycle club, which is the District 1J Motorcycle Lions Club, an affiliate branch of the Roselle Lions Club. Pursuant to the last meeting I was at a couple weeks ago, which admittedly I was very late, so I apologize. I don't know if anybody can see this sign. We're doing a fundraiser collection, board games, toy drive, etc., for the children of the Tri-Town YMCA, which is for the children of Oakbrook Terrace, Lombard, and our own Villa Park. We are taking various items such as board games, decks of cards, card games, scooters, kids' bicycles, larger stuffed animals for the kids through February 13th in hopes of providing a very large collection donation of new and used items to the kids for Valentine's Day. Kids don't just need presents for Christmas or the winter holidays. They deserve good things all year round, and what better way, in my eyes, to deliver that through the holiday season up through Valentine's Day. Over the last couple of weekends, I've driven through town picking up items from both Villa Park residents and others, such as Lombard. Trustee Murphy was gracious enough to donate a few things, and I've heard from a few of you, and I'd, gladly collect anything that you can donate. Won't be on my Harley. It's a bit late in the season for that, but I'll gladly come around any part of town to pick up items. You can email us at info.motorcyclelions@gmail.com. Info.motorcyclelions@gmail.com. Get a hold of us. We're also on Facebook. I want to thank Gabby, our public information officer, for spreading the word through Facebook and social media. Just thank you very much for your time.
Great, thank you.
A quick question, is there a box or somewhere that you can put things?
Great question. So I actually just came back from Wildfire Harley Davidson up on North Avenue. There is a collection box. However, we've actually gotten quite a few items donated, and that box is kind of full. So my trunk is currently the second box, if you will. But gladly, if you can't get in touch with me for any reason, check the hours for Wildfire Harley Davidson, drop items off. But again, we're on Facebook at District 1-J Motorcycle Lions. Email is an easy way to get to us. Again, info.motorcyclelions@gmail.com. I will gladly swing by any weekend through the 14th of February to pick things up.
Yes, do you know, can the items be dropped off at Tri-Town at St. Alexander's?
I don't know their particular hours. I think the kind of the goal for our club is to donate to the kids in mass all at once, but I can't imagine that they would turn you away at St. A's if you drop items off to them.
Good, thank you. Just Patrick.
I know that the Tri-Town YMCA has been very active in our community. Is there a way that we can establish a drop-off location maybe in the lobby of the police department for people that might be after hours or something along those lines?
I can try to get my hands on another collection box and decorate it and drop that off if that's in the cards. Anything that you guys could do would be very much appreciated.
If that's something that we could do as a village, maybe a drop-off location at the police department, that would be...
Chief Rivas, would that be possible?
Absolutely. We do have the space, so that'd be a great suggestion.
Thank you. Fantastic suggestion.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your
Great.
time.
Thanks, Justin. Thanks for all your help. Okay, Village Clerk's report.
I have no report tonight, thank
Okay.
you.
Village Trustees report. We will start on my left tonight. Trustee Kumar.
There were multiple input meetings run by Williams Associates these past couple of weeks, and I was very glad to see the turnout at those meetings, and I thank all the public that showed up and all their great ideas that came out during those meetings. I am really looking forward to the presentation next time by Williams and what they're going to put together. And I just want to thank Villa Park residents for their great participation in this process. Your words and your ideas are what's going to make Villa Park a better place in the future.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Corkery.
No report this week.
Okay. Trustee Murphy.
No report, thank you.
Okay. Start on my right. Trustee Kozar.
No report.
Trustee Patrick.
Sure. Thank you. First of all, I just want to piggyback off of what Trustee Komar was talking about our public input meetings. I also want to put Director Gola on the spot. You did an excellent job of posting those and putting them together. Those meetings were a really good thing to see, the community coming together, putting their ideas together, and putting this, moving forward with this project. So congratulations, you did an outstanding job with that. Really appreciate that, all your hard work. Lastly, Villa Park Fire Department's looking for a part-time paramedic. If you meet those qualifications, please look on the website and apply for the position. We need you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Salella.
No report, thank you.
Okay, Village President's report. I don't have much tonight. I would like to also reiterate that Public Works did a great job with the last two snowfalls. It was not a lot of snow, but it was a light snow, and people start driving bad when there's snow down there. So you guys did a great job cleaning up the village. February 5th, 2022, we will have coffee with the board up here. That's a Saturday. It'll be the first Saturday of February, starting at 9 o'clock up here in the COW room. So if anyone wants to come out and give us their opinions on what's going on, feel free to. 9 o'clock, coffee with the board, February 5th. And that's all I have, and we'll go to the village manager's report.
The only thing I have is, this is Finance Director Scheibel's last meeting with us. So again, I just wanted to thank her for her time and the work that she's put in for us over the last couple of years. And I want to thank the park staff, because I believe last meeting I left the park department out, and I didn't mean to do that, so I apologize to all of our park employees.
Thank you. Okay, item 16, executive session. Pursuant to the general provisions of the Open Meetings Act, 5 ILCS 1.C1 regarding appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees. Item 2, C21, discussion of closed session minutes. I would just like to make a comment here. I would like to table executive session. We do not have an attorney present this evening. And the attorney that has been reviewing the agreement with the former manager has not completed her review. So what I would like to suggest is we forego executive session tonight, and then once we have a village attorney in place and the attorney has completed a review, we would have a special meeting we could call either hopefully next week. I don't think we'd have everything in time this week, but sometime next week. And at that point, discuss the items that we would discuss tonight. So I would like someone to make a motion on that.
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Slala, a second?
I'll second that.
Trustee Murphy, any questions or comments? Trustee Kozar.
I would like to see us still go into an executive session. Gives us an opportunity to talk about kind of what's going on in terms of who's filling what roles and what we're doing here. I think it could still be productive even if it's a short executive session.
Okay, I just am concerned if we start discussing things that are not for executive session, and I know that has come up periodically when we're in there, and I think if we wait just another week, I think we can discuss all of those. That's just my opinion. Trustee Murphy.
This is Trustee Murphy. As mentioned in a previous meeting, I will not be attending executive session with no attorney present. Thank you.
Okay, we have a vote on foregoing executive session tonight.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Okay, Trustee Corkery,
Yes.
this is not to go into the
It
committee.
is not to go into
Yeah,
executive session.
not, okay, thank you. Make sure.
Wait. No.
Sorry, I misunderstood.
Okay, so that's a no for you. Okay, Trustee Salella,
No.
you want to go into a session?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Okay.
I do
Yeah,
want.
this roll call is
This
to
is
table
this is to not go into
Yeah,
executive
table
session.
the executive session, not to have one today. Okay, thank you. Trustee Salella, that was a no. I mean, that was a yes.
It's a yes.
Sorry. Trustee Kosar?
No, I do not want to table executive session.
Okay. Trustee Murphy?
Yes, I do not want to go into executive session.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Kumar?
I want you to repeat what you said, because I'm
This
just
is-
absolutely.
This is to table this And not to have one tonight, but to table this probably to next week. What President
No.
Kazan said.
I do not want to.
You do not
Table,
want to
exactly.
table it?
Yeah.
Okay. And Trustee Patrick?
No, I would not like to table it.
Okay. And President Kazan?
Yes, I would.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so then we vote on going into executive session. Clerk Konecki.
I think, okay, now for the executive session. Okay, Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
No.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Salella?
No.
President Kazan?
Yes. Okay, we will go into executive session. We have to be very careful that we have no attorney, and if it gets out of hand, I will, definitely adjourn that as soon as we can.
Nick, President
Trustee
Kazan,
Kumar.
I think someone is supposed to read something in that executive session.
I'm sorry?
There is a statement supposed to be read in the executive session if we're to go into executive session, I think. Correct? Okay, he read it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yes. It's been read.
okay.
Okay,
Mr. President,
yes.
is there not to be an agenda to be followed in the executive session, which discussing where we're at is not part of this agenda?
I'll follow you there.
Well, there's an executive session with an agenda with 2 items on it, and neither of those 2 items are going to be discussed. And the topics that were brought up to discuss are not part of this agenda. So how can we have an executive session without a clear, concise agenda?
On the agenda, it's regarding appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance of specific employees.
Correct? But that's not what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about where we're at, where we're going, and that's not part of the agenda packet.
Well, when we get in there,
And we have no attorney to tell us that
Yeah.
we're talking out of.
well, I agree completely. But, the board decided to go in there.
I'll be abstaining from that meeting.
And I don't know if our assistant manager agrees with that or not, and if it's something that we should not do, then,
Well, per the Open Meetings Act and what we've read here today, the only thing that you can talk about in executive session today is related to the approval of minutes and then related to specific employees. So specifically, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal. So that is it about specific employees. So if it's a general conversation that's open to the public, and doesn't fall in those categories, then you can't talk about it in executive session. Yeah. Yes.
This is Trustee Patrick. I believe that the majority of the board knows exactly what we're going into executive session to talk about. And the agenda is set forth here. We plan on sticking to it like we always have.
yeah. And since we don't have an attorney, we'll have to rely on the assistant manager to let us know if we're out of the bounds on that.
Certain.
If you would, yeah. And again, I reiterate, that, I don't like going in here without an attorney present.
President Kazan?
Yes.
We do also have a village clerk that records these audio recordings. Is that correct? That could be reviewed at any other time by legal counsel, if need be?
That's correct, but if we've violated the OMA, so we have a record of it, so we, if we violate it,
Well, we don't plan on violating it. That's what the recording is for it to be reviewed by legal counsel if that comes up.
yes, that's true, but if we have a recording and if we have violated the OMA, what good is having a recording to show that we have violated it?
Well, it would prove to any kind of legal counsel that you're requesting to be in there. And again, that brings up a side note too. Is this the same firm that we've been using all along?
What firm?
With Kathleen Orr and Mike Castaldo?
The one that's reviewing the agreement?
No, it's not.
No.
So they only have how many people within their, they can't have one person come here to help review?
No, I
No,
think
she told us, or she told staff that she was not finished with her review. That's why she's not here tonight.
So
And it's
where's
no
our
use-
village attorney?
We don't have one yet. That's why there's no village attorney here tonight.
So why don't we have a village attorney?
Because staff has been trying to get one, and it's not something that you can just go out and have somebody come in. It takes a while to review it and get, attorney. And,
So to my understanding, Kathleen Orr has resigned her position here with Villa Park. However,
Correct.
has Mike Castaldo?
the entire firm,
The entire firm has.
Firm is-
yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no one from that firm wanted to come as the village attorney.
Okay, well, so then I will stick with what I said earlier, is that we have a village clerk that does record these audio recordings, so that way, if someone is suspecting that there's a violation of the Open Meetings Act, that they can use that audio to confirm whether or not that has happened or not. That all depends, too, whether or not the clerk's, one of her 2 recorders actually work.
Now, you have to make a snide comment like that? I mean, come on, please,
Very
And again,
disrespectful.
it doesn't mean, the idea of having an attorney there and having recording is not to prove whether or not we did it. The idea of having an attorney there is to make sure we don't violate it. And that's my concern without having an attorney present. And I don't see why we can't wait another week to talk about this.
What I'm getting at, Mr. President, is that we have a fully capable and aware board that has the agenda in front of us and knows to stick to it. That is why we are wanting to go to executive session.
You know what, I agree that we have a board that's aware of that, but there have been times in executive session where the attorney has said, you are out of bounds on an executive session, and we don't have an attorney here right now, today, to keep us in line. And that's my concern about going into executive session. Trustee Kozar.
I also recall that same attorney changing her mind and saying that what we were talking about did fall into the parameters of what was in the executive session. I'm sure that we can all stay disciplined and stick to it. And Dave, I would encourage you to come into executive session. One of your concerns earlier was that you weren't brought in and discussions weren't had with you on certain topics of personnel. Executive session to discuss personnel is an opportunity to have those discussions. And I would like to see you there so that you can engage in those discussions.
I agree, Trustee Kozar, but I also want to follow all of the proper guidelines. I don't want to be violating. I don't want to be discussing or presuming I'm interpreting something that I may or may not be presuming. And I want to follow the OMA to its letter. I don't want this coming back to me.
Trustee Corkery.
Given the discussion we've just had, I'd be willing to wait till next week to have an executive session meeting. Is there some motion I can make to that effect? Just to make sure that everyone's included, that everyone in the board feels like they're being taken care of properly?
Clerk Konecki, are we allowed to do that?
Yes, we can amend that if he makes a motion to amend what we just did.
I will.
Okay, so
We
we
can
have a
make-
motion to amend our vote to go in executive session.
Yes.
We have a second? Trustee Kumar.
I will second that motion.
Okay. Clerk Konecki.
Okay, let me just put down Kumar second. Okay, this is to amend not to go into executive session. Okay, trustee
Correct.
Sillella?
No.
No,
No, wait a
this
minute.
is to amend it to not
Yeah.
to go in.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, if you say yes, we will not have executive session. Okay,
It
yes,
gets a little
trustee
confusing at
Sillella,
times.
thank you. Aye, that's a yes. Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Okay, trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
No.
Trustee Patrick?
No.
President Casone?
Yes, okay, thank you. And again, I'm not opposed to doing this, I just request that we have a attorney present to just protect ourselves. Okay, last item is adjournment. Do we have a motion for adjournment? Trustee Corkery? We have a second? Trustee Kumar? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Our next meeting is scheduled for February 14th, 2022, and hope everyone is careful out there in the cold. It's going to be cold the next couple of days.